Well, good evening, good evening, everyone. We are here in Miss G's Ladies Lounge. Yes, you're locked in to the Manifestation Moments with Miss G, the show where faith gets loud, purpose gets real, and vision turns into movement. And I'm your girl, Miss G, visionary coach, author, and momentum motivator. And today we're coming to show on. This episode is titled Breaking Cycles, Building Teams, a New Vision for Men and Families. This one right here is going to shift some mindsets, heal some hearts, and challenge some legacy. And so, fellas, if you're ready to rise, and ladies, if you're praying for the men in your life, stay right here. We're coming right back. Well, welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello and happy Thursday. Welcome to another episode of Miss G's Ladies Lounge. Listen, we're here, we're excited, we're ready for just another great conversation, another chat with you on tonight. And I hope that you are ready. I hope that you're excited about what's getting ready to happen. So, listen, I've got some great news today. I've got some great news for you today. We have a conversation that is one that you don't want to miss. My guest is a leader, a strategist, and a transformational voice for men and families all across this nation. Joining me tonight is Mr. Curtis Hall, founder and CEO of New Collar Solutions, a transformational coaching and consulting firm focused on elevating men and strengthening families and communities. In addition to his work in the community, he's also a seasoned COO and change management strategist within the U.S. Department of State, blending leadership science, spiritual grounding, and innovation to produce real world results. He's passionate about equipping men ages 12 to 60 to rise in purpose, in power, and emotional fluency. And today he's here with us, right here in Miss G's Ladies Lounge, to help us break cycles and build kings. So listen, just to before we bring Mr. Hall to the stage, I'm your host, Gwen Miss G Finley. I am the momentum motivator. I am the visionary startup coach, author, and I'm here excited about everything that we are getting ready to talk about. So I want you to gather the men, gather the brethren, gather your sons, gather your uncles, gather your cousins, gather your brothers, your daddies, your husbands, everybody. Let's get those men in the room on tonight. We know we usually holler at the ladies, but tonight, we are going to have that fireside chat with the men in the room. All right, so family, help me welcome brother, as he calls himself. I like to call him Mr. Curtis Hall to Manifestation Moments with Miss G. Hey, how you doing?
How you doing, Miss G? Good evening. Thank you so much for having me. How you feeling?
Good evening. Good evening. I'm doing wonderful. I'm doing really good tonight. I'm excited about being here. I'm excited about this time with you. It's been a long time coming. We've been talking about it. We've had your wife on the show
Yes.
several times, and we as soon as we said we just got to get you on this show, you didn't waste any time getting making sure we got you on the show. So I'm glad that you're here today. I'm glad that we can come together and talk about this subject that we have on tonight because I am positive. I am absolutely there. She goes.
Mhm.
I am absolutely positive that this is a subject that is needed in the world today. We are definitely in need of talking about our men and our young men, our brethren, and how we can build them so they can build their families and we can build the world, right?
Mm.
So I'm going to start out by letting you tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about your business, which is entitled New Collar LLC, if I'm not mistaken. So tell us a little bit about that, and you can also give us like the defining point when you decided that okay, this is time to develop this business.
Okay, so once again, thank you, Miss G and Ladies Lounge family for having me. And just I gotta say, you got the real star of the show first, my wife. So thank you. We're going in the right order. But yeah, a little bit about me, real quick. Then I'll dive into New College Solutions. So I'm originally from North Philadelphia, the youngest of actually five children when the math is done. That's another interview. But I have two elder sisters, and I was raised as the only child by my mother and grandmother in North Philly. So my father, while he supported financially, was not there in person emotionally. So fast forward, God put me in a position to have men seek me out and pour into me in their own will. And so I didn't always have the language, but through my life, God has let me know I got an obligation to pass it forward, however it looked. So the defining moment is when my wife and I got together, because we both served. That's one of the things that connected us. But so many years into our marriage, she challenged me, as every great woman should challenge anyone in life that you love, and said, "What's going to make you get up at 2 in the morning? What's a burden to you?" And
Mm,
I've already been serving young men all the way back to college in my sophomore year in the University of Tampa with high school students in the Hillsborough area.
mm,
So New College Solution was birthed out of initially thinking of having a pipeline of men of color to go into the workforce. But God said, hold up, I told you to go this way, but that's not the route that I gave you. We're going to zoom out. We got to deal with the inside first before we get to the vocation. So took off for white collar, blue collar, and that amalgamation. Now we got cocktail to new collar. So it was a play off those two dynamics.
wow, that yeah. So that's powerful right there. And like you said, that's another great interview. There's so much to digest right there and to dissect right there. So now you're working to bring others into this dynamic. Tell me about the population that you actually work with New Collar Solutions.
So basically 12 and up, but I specified 12 through 60 because that's the way the Holy Spirit gave it to me. And initially, when I started, I'd be honest, Miss G, I thought I was going to be working with just young men, mainly teens and young adults. But I've been postured in position to work with men my age or, even my senior. And what that looks like is dealing with our own barriers and areas of growth and challenge because all of us have a gift that's in there, whether we can realize it or not, or whether it's been actualized, but we got to unearth the mess and unlearn a lot of stuff that we've been conditioned and been inculcated in our spirits. So what it looks like is relational, horizontal conversation. Just because I'm an adult or wherever my stature may be in life, we got to talk with each other, not at each other, and we got to listen. So men, unfortunately, a lot of times we don't have trust among each other. So that's one big thing. Trust is real currency among men instead of being in competition with each other. So we have to lay that foundational work to even be receptive to the real work to begin.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And then I saw a little commercial on, I don't know if it was on Facebook. I think it was on Facebook. And it's just a little young man. And every time I see this commercial, I only see this one piece where a young man just says, I just want someone to listen.
Hmm.
I just want someone to listen to me and hear the things that I have to say. And so it's good to have someone who is open to listening and then help people to work through and help young men to work through. We have so many, and I'm a woman, but I know that it's true that we do have a lot of areas where women are pouring into the girls, and we have a lot of little programs for the little girls, and a lot of times the young boys don't get that same preferential treatment as I would say. We have our little tea parties, but what are the guys doing? We have our little tutu, gatherings. What are the guys doing? So having this opportunity again is just so wonderful. So I'm grateful for you. I'm proud of
Thank
you
you.
and the work that you're doing. And I know that you don't just work in the corporate world and in the coaching, but you also work in ministry.
Yes.
And so that's also awesome because now you're also able to incorporate the heart, mind, body, and soul, right?
Yeah.
So let's hit our topic today, which is breaking cycles and building kings. A new vision for men. Listen, this is this is really amazing. So you built your work around redefining manhood. What do you believe is the biggest misconception that men have about power and purpose today?
So it's a couple. It's systemic, but I'll start at ground zero in terms of believing that manhood is static, is not evolving, and is bifurcated or binary. You either could be one or the other. When we're multi-dynamic or non-monolithic, when you look at this, even among African Americans, we may all be from the same city, but we vary from neighborhood to neighborhood. So that's the big one of the biggest misconceptions. And when we talk about things that we learn, we've been sold a lot of things, and I'm gonna truncate this as much as I can, but even in our community, when you go from always slavery to now, we have been encumbered by so much myth, so much self hate that's been seeped and diffused in our spirit in terms of how we relate to others around us, especially ourselves. That has distorted our thinking. So we have to come back and bring that all in and realize, hey, I am valuable, first of all. I didn't get here by
Mm,
accident, and God has a
right.
design for me. And even if you're a non believer, you got to know that it's great. Something is greater in you. No person is no person in finite mind can figure out everything or know everything. So there's an innate part of humility that's in every one of us, and manhood is embracing that humility, that vulnerability, because that sets the groundwork to really agree that I don't know everything, and I need to be open to learn about myself.
Yeah. So that knocks down some of that power that we think is what we have to be a part
Yes,
of, or men in specifically, because there is power that has been given to man, but even within that, there is also a humility that has to come.
yes.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So you talk about emotional fluency in men when we read your bio, something that many people don't often associate with leadership. Why is emotional intelligence critical to a man's success today?
It's very important that we learn how to harness it. And I'm gonna put myself on the crucible and the cross. I'm one who still is ever working to control my emotions because God wired us that way, but He gave us choice on how to respond. So what you're looking at
Mhm.
right now, real time, is a refinement of Curtis Everhall II. Yes, I give myself permission to be disappointed, to be upset, to be happy, but how do I serve my future self in terms of aiming at the growth? So that's a question we have to ask ourselves. So when we talk about emotional fluency, that means I'm harnessing the power and not being led by it. So
Mhm.
in surrender, there's power because you realize the magnitude of it. You don't or underestimate it, but you realize it's a part of who you are. But God gave us dominion. And I feel like I need to say this because when God curates your purpose, you're not dialed into what lies ahead in the road. Like I couldn't tell you that I was gonna be here right now. So anybody who
Right.
witness to this, know that God curated my steps, sometimes against my own will, but other times, a lot of times unknowingly to me. I wasn't even looking for the ministry. I wasn't, but it found
Right.
me. So I just gotta make sure that people know the struggle and the labor that goes into it is real, but it's edifying and it's refining. So we can either be hurting from stagnation or for growth. So I'm picking to be hurt from growing pains and not stagnant pains.
Mm, that's good right there. When we talk about the emotional part of it, I want to ask you a question. I want to kind of get a little personal here.
Yes.
I heard you say in the beginning that you grew up with two sisters, no brothers. Is that what you said?
Yeah, so and I could give a little kind of so my sisters, there's 15 years between me and my oldest sister. My sister turned 62 back in
Hmm.
March. My mother, rest her soul, she had it when she was 15. And then I had two other sisters, one of which is still alive, one is deceased, that was from my father's first marriage. Then I found out I had a brother right before I got married in '06. So I was raised as the
Oh,
only child, even though I have siblings.
okay.
Yeah.
So, so then what I was thinking about was then you ended up as a girl dad.
Yeah. Yeah. Imagine that.
So you just all surrounded by all these women,
Yeah.
all your life just surrounded by all these women. How did that look for you in terms of your emotional self there as well, because now you didn't have a whole lot of male, not saying that you didn't have any men around in your life, because I'm sure you had some somewhere, but you didn't have that direct male bonding and all of that, even in your household and in your household now. So how did that work for you?
So and I need to start with my mother and I. My mother, Frances Hall, born June 29th, 1948, going to glory in 2010, day after Christmas. We were very tight knit, and then my grandmother as well, her mother. And so what that looked like was a lot of being told what to do, not questioning authority, but also some tenderness in there, accountability, self
Mhm.
sufficiency, but also once again humility to God. And my grandmother didn't know how to read or write, and my mother didn't finish college, but they were very astute, but at the same time very emotionally distraught because they had their own trauma. Now I could not no way articulate this then. All I was doing was responding and trying to keep the peace and not get my butt beat because they would beat my butt. So that's what it looked
Mhm.
like growing up. But it rooted me
Right.
in having some structure and having a profound respect for women, but also it created some tension when you get into my older life, whether I'm dealing with women as friends or even relationships, because now I'm functioning more in the feminine energy, versus male energy. And for anybody who may hear this, there's more versions of that than homosexuality. So let's put it there.
Right. Right.
That could look different.
Absolutely.
So I just got to delineate because I think language is very important. People can conflate things based on your experience. No, listen to the context now, please. So I just got to put that out there. So I don't know who's this going to come across, but that's how it looks.
Right.
But I think on a very principled level, God anchored me, but it definitely was a lot of refining that had to take place.
Yeah, see, that's good. And the way I guess I want to make sure that, like you said, make sure that it comes out right. My statement was that you came through as a strong man,
Mm-hmm.
despite the fact that you were surrounded by so many women.
Mm-hmm.
And so that gives you another, but you also had that, like you said, that ability to deal with your emotions and all that, being around women. Because a lot of times when men are not, um, or when they are just berated by men,
Mm-hmm.
they don't deal with
Mm-hmm.
emotions. And so I think that was also a great point in that as well. So many men desire change, but they struggle to actually initiate it.
Mm,
'Cause like I said, we see some men who grew up with the notion that they had to be hard, that they had to, do things A, B, and C. They couldn't vary off of that. So many men desire change, but they struggle to initiate it. What kind of mindset shift, do you think that they need to have, that needs to happen for a man to truly evolve and step into his calling?
I think part of it, a big part for me, is listen to your body, listen to your mind. Like when you do certain things, your body will let you know. you know,
Mhm.
and let me know, Miss G, have you ever felt this? Like, have you ever felt well nervous or happy and maybe didn't have the language, but you felt and you end up going with your instinct, and
Mhm.
a good bit of time it turned out to be whatever it was that was either
Right.
happy, sad, or indifferent, but you couldn't really articulate it. Have you ever had a moment like that?
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
so as men, and I'll give a plain example. Growing up in North Philadelphia, you see, I
Mhm.
see drug dealers, I see folks who are doing all types of things, and so I'm like, I'm not permitted to show this type of emotion that me and my mother share, but I see these folks working hard. So I think that's something good. So what I'm getting to is you kind of get this idea of how much you can divulge. But for me, because my mother and grandmother were big on being resourceful. So I was like,
Mhm.
I'm not the street dude, even though I'm being raised in the streets per se. I need to find how to use the tools that I can apply and make them work for me. And I'm going to use the jugglers example, not in such a negative context, but in terms of an illustration of a lesson. They were committed to being the best at their craft. They were very structured. They were out there every day, early in the morning, all day,
Mhm.
very keen on their money, know where everybody was it who worked for them. So I said,
Come
if
on
I can
now.
apply that work ethic to my academics, that may look good
Mhm.
for Curtis. So it was even a
Right.
moral thing, like they're bad people. I'm like, I need to learn how to be rigorous and astute like that, but for me. And hence that turned me into an honor roll student because I'm like, I can't sell drugs, but I can study. I can. So, and my mom told me
Right.
when I was in eighth grade, I don't have the money. I love you, but I don't have the money to send you to college. So guess what? I got to figure it out. So when you talk about change
Mm.
management, that's a big change. Now I'm grateful she gave
Wow.
me eighth grade instead of 11th grade because that gave me some time.
Wow, that is awesome. That is really, ooh, that was a real great analogy because a lot of people would have just looked at it as a negative, and negatively. Well, this is the only option I have. But even as a young person, you had a good mind to turn that around and use it in a different way. That's awesome. And how do you how do you work with young men now to help them to see that type of changed mindset?
Okay, so I think the biggest things young people, whether young men or young women, can see right through a facade. And no matter
Mm,
where you're from, they can tell if you're genuine. So the biggest part, and my wife will tell you this, they know when you are being authentic or you just doing a prop or whatever. So when Curtis E. Hall shows up, first of all, I pray before anything. Even before this interview, I'm like, Holy Ghost, come let them
yeah.
for what you had to be edified. Because I don't know who gonna hear this, but they know that you're real.
Mhm.
Let alone be from
Right.
Philly, let alone be the man, but I'm real and he's here. And I'm shutting the F
Mhm.
up because I'm not going to abuse my status as adult because we all children
Mhm.
at the end of the day. So we had to come with a
Mhm.
sense of grace and building reciprocity. And that's why you hear that God gave me Brother Curtis, because you don't have to call me Mister. Now, Sister Miss Gwen, you call me whatever. But when I'm these young men, it needs to be
Right.
a welcoming place to where we can build a safe structure and build intimacy. And that's another word
So
that gets
true.
misconstrued. You can have pristine, pure intimacy between men that's not perverse. But society tell you it has
Right.
to be perverse. Because me and my brother Brandon have been intimate. Me and my friend Rodney have been intimate. But these are exchanges
Yeah.
between men that are edifying. And guess what? We're all the better when God gets done and we go back home to our wives and our family.
Come on now. Come
So
on now. Yeah. And knowing what it means
yes,
and not just trying to throw out something that someone else told you.
yes.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. I love that. Wow, you are really pouring out today. So I know we've got a couple of y'all on here today, and thank you for joining us in the lounge. If you have questions or comments, go ahead and drop them in the chat. And we're getting ready to wrap this up, but it's so good. I really hate to wrap it up too much. But what does it look like when a man is fully aligned, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and how does that transformation impact the families and the communities?
You know, Miss G, 3, 4 weeks, a year or earlier, I couldn't answer that question. And that's not to say
Mm,
Curtis E. Hall has arrived, but I'm the most comfortable I've ever been in my skin at this point in my life, right now.
oh, that's
And
beautiful.
all humility between God, my wife, the men in my life. Like
Mm,
I call them the three wise men, Brother Phil, Chad, and Julius. Um, so when you talk about being aligned, you have a sense of peace and you're very
mhm,
keen because you drown out the noise. You drown out the
mm,
noise. But you have to have structure. It's not just gonna fall in your lap. God gonna let you know you got to do this, you got to do this. But it whets your appetite, so you get an appetite to do it because I can't
mm,
express how much I love somebody on my own. I need help. So what it looks like
mhm.
is not me just loving Sister Gwen or me loving my wife or me loving my niece. What it needs to look like is God loving me through them. God loving them
Right.
through me, rather. Excuse me. So that's what it looks
Mhm.
like with alignment and being able to know that regardless of how things come out, people when they're coming from a place of love. And just for me personally, I'm one that's big on tone and inflection. If you even if you say something right, but you say kind of silent,
Right.
that no Philly may come
Yeah.
out. But when you're
Yeah.
aligned and you have peace, you can start to work through that. Because guess what? While
Mm,
I'm over here being mad, I'm not being obedient to assignment that I have. So I can't be
mhm.
distracted by my own bullshit honey iced tea.
Yeah. Yeah. You gotta know. You gotta know. What you're called to do and be able to walk in your calling. Not, as you said, being so emotional that you can't understand what you're supposed to be doing and you miss the moment
Yeah.
because the moment can pass by so quickly, and just because of us being in our feelings,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, that is really great. That is great. And so I know that you're out here. You're building communities. You're building, momentum even with these young men and their families, their brothers, their fathers, their uncles. And so, what is what we got a question here. Let's put this question up. What is the biggest challenge? What is the biggest challenge the young men you're working with are facing right now?
One of the biggest challenges is dealing with their parents' past experiences and how that's shown up and how they relate or don't relate to each other.
Mm,
I That's a running theme. My father, my mother, they misinterpret me, or I'm misinterpreting them. But I don't know how to create space for us to have a conversation without it turning into something else that's antithetical to what it needs to be. So I shut down,
wow.
and I
And that causes a domino effect.
yes, and I tell you, one of the most honest conversations I had with my mother was the night that she died in my arms.
Mm,
Now I don't know why it took that long, but I'm grateful I had it. You
mhm,
know, and it gives me the freedom to know that she had her own, and it humanizes her in a way that I wasn't able to see her before because she was my mom. But I'm like, she had her own stuff too. So why am I upset and holding so much against her? God forgave me. So and I'm hoping the same for my daughters. I don't always get it
yeah.
right as a father. I don't always get it right. So I'm praying for grace and chances for always working and I just let my actions speak. I ain't telling them what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do my best and it is what it is. But at the same time, it's once again it's a reciprocal relationship.
Mm, wow. I got one more question about New Collar. So, what kind of programs do you offer that? will allow, your the men that you work with and the young men to um, experience, all of this that you're sharing with us on
So
today.
there's a couple of different forums that we have, as you stated repeatedly. My wife and I we partner. So one is Parenting on Purpose, which we have an event coming up at the Marion Francis Center on the 16th of December, day before my birthday, and so we share our own personal parenting experience, but more importantly, we cultivate and curate the folks that are there. And it's very edifying because they have to get to the root of themselves. We're not just talking about our kids. This is a space to open up, and then we have one-on-one coaching sessions that I do. That and I am for profit, so there's a cost involved. And then I have several beautiful partners. It's particularly for men, 3C Church and Henrico. I partner with them
Oh,
in the
okay.
event.
Yeah.
And then also we're in Richmond Public Schools and Henrico. So when you see a workshop that's around mission manhood, parenting on purpose, on one-on-one or youth wellness expo, we have individual intimate settings as well as group settings that offer, and some free, some are not, but it's a space for us to curate and make our own so that we can lead, transform, and move in the right direction.
That's awesome. Yeah, yeah. I'm familiar with 3C Church. So what is the how can our audience connect with you or follow you to find out more about even those events?
So you can come. I have a newsletter, and I just published it today. So New Collar Solutions, NUCOLLAR Solutions on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and what you'll see is a myriad of events, not just mine but others. Because truly, community is it. And thank you for the website. Thank you. So anything that's going, on, you can find out about there, and you can also reach out to me directly via email or my phone number, and I'll be happy. And I do work, as you stated, Miss G. I work with young men all across the nation. I had clients in Houston, New Orleans, but as well as here in Central Virginia. And one thing I gotta give a shout out because I do have young men with fathers. So, and I thank the men as well as the moms, but especially the men for trusting me because it takes another layer of humility to allow another man to to
Right.
partner with you in stewarding or supporting your son or daughter. And I'm saying that on the female side. So I thank all the parents,
Yeah.
but especially the men, because that's a space that's not celebrated often. And God didn't design us to function in isolation. Because even me, as much as I would love to be there everything for my daughters and my wife, I can't be. So they got to have other
Right.
healthy means to contribute to their growth outside of courtesy. So yeah.
And so you made reference, we do, we talked about when your wife was a part of the show that you worked together
Mm.
with Unbreakable Minds. Tell us, how that works together as well.
So it's so cool because like while we share a lot, we're very different in our styles. So I think that brings a healthy balance and people love it, but more importantly, it's substance because we are who we are. Without giving our business away, we do let people know we're not perfect. That's the first piece once again. And that being together takes work, whether it's a marriage or just a friendship. So, and then we make space to listen. And so Crown Movement was born out of that. God gave me King's Corner, and Love was always doing phenomenal work. So we said, you know what? Young people need to be inculcated with the fact that they are royalty. They validate themselves, even though they may want it from somebody, but they ultimately, it's up to them to heal and steward themselves along with the Holy Spirit. So that's how Crown Movement was born. And then we keep an ear out. We like, God, let us show us who we need to work with because we're not meant to partner with everybody. And that's very important too.
Oh,
We're looking for assignments, not opportunities.
woo! Come on now. I love that. I really do love that. And that kind of helped me even in that moment because I've been thinking about that even in my own, assignment that God has given me. And I say, sometimes we look at everybody else and what they're doing, and we're trying to be like everybody else, but you can't. You have your own specific assignment. So knowing where God has placed you and not trying to get to everybody and everything, but making sure that you are purposefully walking in your assignment. And so that's awesome. I have one last
Yeah,
question
yeah,
for you, Mr. Hall.
yeah.
So, for the man that's listening right now who feels stuck in generational cycles, what is the one truth or challenge you want to leave with him today?
Look for ways in his immediate environment inside himself and around, and how he can invest in himself and love himself. And loving himself is beyond self care. How can I show up healthy in relationships that I care about? What's the work that I need to do to improve that? Because I only can control what I can control. How have I been cutting myself short? Have I been allowing my habits? Have I been allowing my patterns? Have I been allowing my thoughts? Have I been allowing my gluttony? And I'm telling, I'm giving out my business basically. Well, I'll give you my business. I'm giving my business.
Right,
Like, what, what,
right,
what, what have been driving you, but you haven't been driving it? And that's where you
right.
start. That's where you start.
Mhm. Oh, wow. I mean, this was really rich on tonight. And I appreciate you stopping by the lounge, hanging out with the ladies on tonight.
Thank you so much.
And we're going to be sharing this. We're going to be sharing this so that and I'm glad kind of that the holiday season is coming along. So I can share on those, all the holidays are on Thursday this year.
I know.
So So I'm not gonna do a show on Christmas. I'm not gonna do a show on New Year's. So I'll be sharing some of these shows that I've done throughout the year. So this is definitely going to be one that's going to get some replay, because I want to make sure that others are experiencing this great word that you shared with us on tonight. So once again, I just want to say thank you. Listen, you guys follow Mr. Hall. Go to Instagram. Go to what'd you say? Instagram and
LinkedIn, Facebook, and I'm on
LinkedIn.
TikTok too as well. New Collar Solutions. Anywhere you see that NU Collar LLC or Solutions, I'm there.
Okay, New Collar Solutions. All right. So thank you so much once again, and I hope that you have a happy
Thank
birthday
you. Thank you.
and a Merry Christmas and all those good
Thank
things.
you.
Enjoy your holiday season.
Likewise, you too, Miss G. Thank you, Ladies Lounge family. Thank you, Miss G.
All right. Take
Yeah,
care.
bye-bye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for hanging out with us on tonight. Listen, this has been an amazing, amazing chat on tonight. The conversation, just the subject alone was powerful. And so we're glad that Mr. Hall decided to join us on tonight. I like to call him Mr. Hall. I don't know. It just sounds like that's what it should be, right? So, so thank you again. Listen, if you were blessed by tonight, don't keep it to yourself. Share this episode with someone. Comment, let us know, because it is time to break these cycles and help build kings, and not just for men, but for women. Let's help build kings. Let's pour into these young men just like we do with the young ladies to make sure that um, they are blossoming into what they were created to be. And so tonight, I want to say thank you once again for joining me. And remember, a vision with no progress is just another dream. So I want you to protect your purpose. I want you to honor your process and manifest your moments. All right, don't forget, like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications on YouTube and on Facebook so that you don't miss any of these wonderful episodes. And we are glad to see you next week. We have another amazing guest who is going to be joining us. So we've got two more shows for the end of this year. So make sure that you pop right in here on Thursday night at 8 p.m. We will be back on next week. All right. Thank you once again. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening. We love you. Good night.